Party has been at the center of Canadian politics for nearly a decade now. And with the rising cost of living, the housing crisis, climate change, and much more policies that Liberal Party currently face backlash for, we need to know if the country is in need for new leadership. With new faces come new policies, new initiatives, and new perspective. For that, we have Rhyse Parker today from Liberal Party.
Hi, my name is Rhyse Parker, and I am very excited to be the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada. I am running in the Ottawa Centre riding, and I am incredibly proud.
On the day of the debate, we see a lot of candidates, especially NDP candidate Ali Hassan, kind of comparing with the Liberal Party. And we see that infamous handshake with Ali Hassan. Hello, Ms. Ms. Parker. You've emphasized that you're not Trudeau. And then we can see that, and you want to create a name for yourself. But you still remain in the same party framework, the Liberal Party framework that has operated for 10 years, almost now. Why should voters put their trust in you, put their trust in the Liberal Party, in the unpopular government as of right now, and still expect a change from you?
Like you said, the Liberal Party has been dominating Canadian politics for the last decade, but really for the last century. And I truly believe that there's a reason why. Our policies and our values align with how most Canadians feel. Our ability to balance our economic policies, our environmental protection policies, our international relations. These are all values that Canadians want to see. Canadians want to find a party that can operate in the middle, that can see every perspective and make sure that everything is getting its due diligence and its day in court, if you will. The problem with prior Liberal governments is that this just hasn't been implemented effectively. It's not that the policies are necessarily bad or wrong. Some absolutely need to be fixed, and I am fully prepared to amend them. But it's really been how the government has gone about implementing these policies, the failure in doing so efficiently and doing so in a timely manner. My government is prepared to do what Canadians want, to really listen to what the average Canadian wants to see and implement those policies effectively and making those a top priority and getting them done. I really am not the kind of person you typically see as the leader of a political party in Canada. I am a young married woman, as the leader of the NDP could tell you. And I believe that voters can see themselves in me. I really want to energize the electorate, and I will do that by ensuring that Canadians, that I'm listening to them. I want to listen to not only Liberal voters who are staunch in their values and are going to support me no matter what, but also Canadians who are leaning conservative or who are scared about our economic future. Canadians who are leaning Green or NDP, who are concerned about the state of our environment and our ability to prioritize climate change. I believe that there is so much value in opposing views and in disagreements. And it's important to me that I am really listening to Canadians that are existing outside of Ottawa Centre and ensuring that I am including them and their perspectives in my policies and in the way that I run my government.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We're gonna now move on to the harder part of this interview, the statistical part of this interview. So your campaign emphasized that you want to make the renting fairer for Canadians by cracking down on short-term rentals and foreign buyers. However, in the cities like Toronto and Vancouver, where local experts argue that these are only short-term solution to affordability or has very little impact on affordability in general. Why do you believe that voters in your riding, Ottawa or Ottawa in general, how does this distinguish you from the previous Liberal strategies, and how do you propose that policies that have not worked for bigger cities will work in Ottawa?
I'm glad that you brought that up because the strategies that we plan on using in order to limit short-term rentals and foreign ownership of homes in Canada are really just part of a much bigger housing strategy that I have and that my government will have. Where I believe that governments have failed in the past is that there has just been a lack of collaboration between the federal government and the provinces in order to actually get houses built. Canada experiences some of the longest waiting times and fees when it comes to building restrictions. Vancouver, like you mentioned, experiences on every house hundreds of thousands of extra dollars in just building restriction fees. These are things that we can seriously cut down on. This is the red tape that I'm talking about when I say that this is stuff that we need to limit. We need to make it easier for Canadian builders to actually build homes and target the root cause of this problem, which is a lack in housing. And for the time being, that also means limiting our population growth through immigration until our housing supply can catch up. Okay. My government will put a pause on immigration and ensure that we have the housing and the supply to accommodate all Canadians living within our country.
Good thing you mentioned that. And I also noticed that you propose on raising the RRSP withdrawal limit, and you want to lower the capital gains by 10% for the first-time buyers. How do you ensure that these policies are long-term rather than short-term solution to the crisis?
Again, this is part of our much bigger, much broader housing strategy. I believe that we need to leverage solutions in every aspect of what the housing crisis is. We need to target housing supply, and we need to look at how Canadians are actually able to save for a down payment, how they're able to manage a mortgage. It's one thing to build all these houses, but we have to also make sure that Canadians, particularly young Canadian families who are looking to establish roots in Canada, are able to actually afford to save up. Yes. And I think that in adding extra benefits to the RSPs and to first home savings account is just another way that we can support Canadians through that financial.
The infamous $10 a day initiative for childcare was major Trudeau policy and major Trudeau initiative, much appreciated in the beginning. How do you differentiate from the leadership that his initiatives are being transferred into your leadership? And how do you stand by this policy? Are you going to amend it? Are you going to change it? Are you going to keep implementing as it is right now? And this has to also consider the fact that childcare is not immune to the broader social trends that are taking place right now, where people suffer from a lot of waiting time. How do you distinguish yourself from Trudeau initiatives on this?
Well, I plan on doing many things differently than Justin Trudeau. I do believe that $10 a day daycare is something that Canadian families really value and would really benefit from. It would allow for parents to go back to work and contribute to the Canadian economy, and it would also allow for them to spend less money on childcare and more money on family trips and clothing and groceries and food, other ways that they can support their families. Well, this is, I think, a strong goal and something that Canadians want to see. It is a lofty one. It is something that can't happen overnight. It is going to take time. And I believe that the government has made significant strides in lowering the cost of healthcare, or of childcare and healthcare. Yeah. But it is still something that needs to be done. We need to make more childcare facilities. We need to make it easier for Canadians to become early childhood educators and work in these daycares. So that means building more infrastructures. In the same way we're going to do that is how we're going to improve our housing supply. Make it easier to build, make it easier for things to actually get done and get done quickly so that there are just more resources to go around.
Thank you, Mrs. Berger. I love that. The Canada's GDP is projected to lower to 1.2%, and the business confidence is declining in general. You're advocating for trade agreements like Canada-ASEAN and stronger role in CPTPP, giving the rise to the recent protectionist policies from US and China. How will you, first of all, ensure these agreements actually translate into economic progress for Canadians? And on top, how do you wish to expand on policies like the CETA agreement, which is a free trade agreement with Europe and Canada initiative by, again, Justin Trudeau, is expanded on, and it actually, again, translate into economic progression for Canadians at home?
The declines that you've mentioned are unfortunately largely to do with the unpredictability of Canada's relationship with the United States at the moment. That's why Canada's ability to strengthen our trade relations with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and the CPTPP is really important to expanding our trading partners and making it easier for us to depend less on the United States. That is frankly just unpredictable and something we can't count on right now. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations is one of the fastest growing economic regions in the world right now.
Yes.
There's so much promise in what a formalized trade agreement with this association will do for Canadians. It's expected to grow our GDP by 3.5 billion Canadian dollars.
That's a lot of money.
Right. Yeah. Additionally, improving our relationships and our involvement with the CPTPP will allow for us to rely less on the United States, and it will also allow Canadians to feel more comfortable that they won't be hit with unpredictable tariffs that are concerning, frustrating, and stressful, because these tariff agreements and limitations are negotiated through the agreements. So it allowed for Canadian businesses to thrive more comfortably and confidently, knowing that all of our eggs aren't in just one basket, that is the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rhyse from Liberal Party. A new face for Liberal Party, and she brings a lot of new initiative on the table. Ms. Parker, do you have any final remarks for the Canadians out there?
To my fellow Canadians, I'm incredibly proud to be the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, and I'm incredibly proud to have so much of your confidence and trust to lead this country. I want to create a Canada where Canadians can count on themselves and each other to get us through these difficult times. I will create a Canada that you can count on, and that's my promise.